question?
How do you get people to change that culture where it is? I've been here a long time. I understand that there's a lot with people like this. Especially when I'm just a postdoc and other departments.
Yeah. So, how do you change a culture? So, the reason we did this was that in my first year as head of department, we had a serious fire. Nobody was hurt. It was an electrical fault. We couldn't have seen it, but it made me realize that we had a problem in the department, fundamentally about culture. So we had rules, but people were more or less ignoring the rules. Also, at almost exactly the same time, there was a very serious accident in the United States, in California, and a young woman died because she wasn't wearing a lab coat. She was working alone, and she spilled a chemical which caught fire, and 3 weeks later she died. So that was a big, that happened almost exactly 10 years ago. And so I looked at the department. The problem in the past had been that we had delegated responsibility to a departmental safety officer, but the head of department stepped back. So what was important is that the head of department is responsible. That's why I said this at the beginning. The head of department is responsible. So the head of department has to lead any change. If you're in the background, you can't lead from the back, right? You lead from the front. So I worked with my departmental safety officer, the two of us. We were both very visible because the message to my colleagues was the head of department wants this. And if I'm honest, I used the power of being head of department ruthlessly to change it. But my colleagues also believed in why I wanted to do it, which is why I said the why is more important than the what. But people don't like change, and it takes time. I think it took us 2, maybe 3 years to change the culture. And even when you change, you have to keep reinforcing the change. Durya and I were talking earlier. One of the problems in universities is that there is only a small amount of institutional memory because the students change every few years. So the memory goes, and you have to keep reminding them, keep teaching them. But that's our job, and we should be training people to be responsible for their own health and safety when they leave university. So for me, it is fundamentally about leadership. And if you don't have the leadership of a department, of an institution, supporting any change of culture, not just safety, any change of culture, nothing will happen.
How do I get my department to do that when
I'm just a postdoc? I'm not a head of department. I'm not in charge of any of the students. Nobody listens to me. How do I get the head of department to say, okay, I need to change how this is done?
Well, you could have an accident, and then
we had one 5 years ago in the Faculty of Lighthouse Science.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone knows about it because it was kind of hushed up.
Yeah, well that's also, you might need to translate this, but the best disinfectant is sunlight. So put a light, shine a light on a problem. Because if you hide it away, nothing will change. I understand why universities do this, but it's a mistake. honesty is always better because then you can learn. Let me give you another interesting parallel here. Look at two different areas. One is medicine and doctors, particularly surgeons. There are lots of accidents that happen in surgery. And fundamentally, it's because a junior person is too frightened to tell a senior doctor, you're making a mistake, you shouldn't be doing that. It's about culture. It's about hierarchy. It's about power. So doctors, for many years, have not accepted the problems that they cause, and they keep making the same mistakes. The other end of that spectrum is the airline industry. If you're a pilot and you make a mistake, a genuine mistake, you have a 2-week time to report it. No repercussions, no punishment. Every time a plane crashes and people are killed, the airline industry learns a lesson and it stops. We will always have planes crash, we will always have accidents, but they learn a lesson. Now doctors are changing their culture, but that medicine, I think, was terrible for a long, long time, because doctors can do no wrong. So it's about recognizing there's a problem. If you don't recognize there's a problem, if you don't see it, nothing will change.